The Mission Impossible franchise has been going on pretty much all my life. I wasn't even a month old when the first movie came out, and even on this channel, the first ever review video was on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. And I liked it and asked my small audience to please go see it in theaters. So, safe to say, I walked in this movie really excited and wanting to like it. Well, I did walk out liking it. And once again, I'm asking all who watch this video to go watch it in theaters. Screw Lilo and Stitch live action and go support an actor that actually puts some passion still in making movies and just wants to entertain you and do it through the big screen.
Because it should be seen on that big screen. You want to see it on IMAX. You want to see it on the biggest screen possible with great sound. It's an epic story, visual. It has great drama, emotion, and action. It is made, designed, and built for the theatrical experience.
For this review, I'm going to try and stay pretty spoiler and story free because I think it's worth going in blind for the experience. Instead, I'm going to kind of do it as if I'm answering questions I think people who are curious about the movie would ask. So let's start with something like, is it better than the last Mission Impossible? I would say yes, but not by much. I think it is better because it is the conclusion of the story set up by the last one. Dead Reckoning, while I did enjoy it, left so much of this where's it going kind of questions with not that clear of direction about who and what the bad guy is and kind of the real motivation at the power in anything other than just it was a powerful predict the future AI. The final reckoning narrows the scope a little bit more and makes some of the pieces start to make more sense and focuses more on Gabriel as the main villain, with the AI being more of the piece of tech or bomb that needs defusing kind of thing that most Mission Impossibles have. The plot is still way out there and convoluted, though. Make no mistake, we are in peak turn your brain off and ignore logic sometimes kind of entertainment. Is it as good as like my personal favorite Mission Impossible movie, which is Fallout? No, I think Fallout is the best and peak of what Mission Impossible could be when everything lines up together well. This is more of your average Mission Impossible film, and hopefully by the end of this review, you'll understand what I mean by that a little bit more. And with that, let's get on to another question. Is it a Mission Impossible movie? I know this has probably never really been asked by anyone or doubted because of Tom Cruise and how long he's been doing it, but yes, it is. It has everything you expect it to have, and a script that was probably written on the fly to try and compensate on just kind of what stunts and action pieces the crew wanted to do. There are masks and deception, government people that both hate and believe in Ethan, so he goes a little rogue, but still has some support from major players that allows him to have some gadgets and allies. And you have the crazy stunt that makes you go, holy shit, Tom Cruise. It has some good action, pretty women, decent comic beats out of nowhere to try to help take a break from all the world-ending stuff, and technology that is so ridiculously out there, it's not quite possible for today, but is still pretty awesome. And of course, the occasional ignoring of physics to make what they're doing feel more impressive and impossible. Speaking of impossible, there is a question I think people who do not like Dead Reckoning will ask, and seems like is an impossible task. Is the AI villain handled well? To be honest, I'm not sure how to actually word that question, but I think that covers me enough to just kind of talk about the AI and stuff in general. Unfortunately, the only simple answer I can think of is kind of. Those who have a decent idea about what at least modern AI is, I don't think will like it. It kind of takes everything to the max. It's Armageddon, Skynet, self-aware like technology, and they don't do the best job trying to give it some sort of motivation or logic to what it is doing. They do try and set stakes very quickly early on after you realize there has been like a time jump from the last movie to this one. And then they just kind of do like an AI villain info dump and then shift the focus more to Gabriel as the villain in person to stop. It's like they turn the AI more into a computer hacking code and ticking clock and just kind of ignore it early on while still saying how the AI is the one manipulating and controlling everything, but not really doing much to show how. Which honestly, I think was one of the best ways to handle it. Dead Reckoning kind of made the AI overpowered and hard to write for. And there are times in this movie where they clearly had written themselves in the corner, and I think they kind of regretted the AI stuff a little bit. So they just kind of said, forget that for a second. We got a cool retrieve a MacGuffin scene we want to do. Again, not the best. Probably shouldn't have done AI to begin with, but I think they did pretty okay trying to write themselves out of the hole. And they did try to account for a lot of the AI technology controlling stuff by switching to some analog things and using bunkers underground and subs that are underwater so they have no internet connection and whatnot. But there are still definitely times when the AI should have been more controlling and involved, since it is supposed to be like the ultimate fortune future teller, yada yada. All in all, I'm okay with what they did with the AI, but also I don't think they really needed to be in the story. A new type of syndicate led by Gabriel that is using some sort of advanced program to hack into systems, I think would have been just as good, if not better, and easier to write for than this self-aware, ultra-predicting AI. But again, what is lacking in the compelling villain stuff is made up for with the action, stunts, acting, and charisma of the cast. Speaking of the cast, I have seen some rumors around that they don't think Tom Cruise is completely ready to not choose or accept another mission, even though this movie is marked as the very last mission possible. Which leads me to the next question. Does it feel like the last movie, and is it a fitting end? Well, there are definitely times where it feels like it is the last Mission Impossible movie. It calls back to a lot of the other movies through clips and characters and even plot devices. It pays respect to the other movies, I think, in a very nice way, and they don't just member berry everything. They do callbacks that actually relate to the story and have some relevance and logic to the decisions of why they're there, including some older characters you would never expect to have made a reappearance. However, the ending does leave everything open for another movie if they wanted to. I think it did fine trying to make it where it can be either an end or continued later, and while I don't think it will necessarily be the most satisfying end for a lot of people, I think it works overall for the movie, if not the entire franchise. So, as I stated in the beginning, I like the film and I want people to go see it in theaters. So, I guess one of the questions that I would have to answer is, what did I like about the movie? Well, to start off, I like the performances. Tom Cruise, of course, has been doing Ethan Hunt for so long, he can play the character well in his sleep. He still looks good and moves well for his age, and sometimes you do kind of have to ignore that he's supposed to be older than some of the characters there, but it looks younger. But either way, the stunts were amazing. He had good little comedic beats and still be serious when explaining what is happening or seeing his friends in danger. I mean, he just nailed it like he always does. And then there was Haley Atwell. I was kind of iffy on liking her character in Dead Reckoning because I really liked Rebecca Ferguson's character and I didn't think her death was the best. But Haley Atwell did a really good job in this movie and won me over. I liked Grace, and since the last movie, they showed that she had become more confident in herself and kind of better at being used for the spy lifestyle since she's clearly been hanging out with Ethan. Simon Pegg as Benji was as good as always, and I mean, really, there was no bad performances from anyone. The beginning of the movie felt a little rushed to get into things, but other than that, I had no issues with pacing. There wasn't that much fluff except for a few exposition scenes, but that didn't really bother me too much. And since the time seemed all right, Tom Cruise can outrun anything, so it's fine. And there were some good setups and payoffs and some bait and switches. Characters' abilities made sense, and it didn't feel too impossible. I liked how they showed the world in chaos from not knowing what is real due to the AI takeover. I liked how the American military advising the president works, how a lot of the general and advisors didn't necessarily agree with what they were advising, but still knew it was the best strategical choice. I liked the president's mentality to the situations and her ultimate choice in the end. And then, of course, it's Mission Impossible. The action was good. I liked how they used the environment and things around them. The women, they used guns, tools, or heavy objects to fight. They didn't just Black Widow Marvel flip men 3 times their size around. And the main advertised stunt with the prop planes ended up being fantastic and not overly advertised and shown way beforehand to end up being a little bit lackluster, like the cliff jump from Dead Reckoning. It was just a good, entertaining movie that was well structured and just worked for me. Now, of course, to be fair, since I answered what I liked about the movie, I should also answer if there's anything I don't like about the movie. There are definitely things that can be improved. I already kind of mentioned how the AI was sidelined and probably could have just been a code hacking away for Gabriel. There was some clunky dialogue clearly put in to help the audience understand some stuff. And while I did like a lot of the payoffs they did for some setups, there was still a lot that was set up that wasn't quite as explored as it could have been, or I have liked it to have been. They definitely put a lot of ideas in here, and some of them got more time than other. I felt like the legacy characters like Benji were underutilized and just wanted more of them. All the stuff with the submarine, while fun, I did struggle to turn my logical brain off with, but that's mostly because I'm a certified diver and my day job allows me to be a little more knowledgeable about how things work at sea and underwater than the average Joe. So I would keep seeing things and go, oh yeah, that's not possible, and he would be dead there, and why didn't they do this? But overall, I was still able to enjoy it because it was still just very Mission Impossible. All in all, I liked the movie. It was a fun ride and pretty much what I expected going into the movie. Unfortunately, I don't think it will do well enough though, due to stuff like competition, the last movie not doing too well, the large budget, and just kind of how pricey it is to go to the theater. But if this is the last Mission Impossible, I want it to do well because Hollywood needs to see that the passion, humbleness, and thankful marketing style that Tom Cruise is doing is more what we want to go back to. There's no agenda, it's just a fun ride that might not be the most groundbreaking or even logical at times, but it has lots of charisma, fun characters, and great practical action. So, if you are curious at all to go see Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning, I recommend that you do. You'll find something to enjoy, and the big screen experience will help turn your brain off a little bit. I mean, just ask the people in my theater that applauded at the end.
And this goes on and back and forth for 90 or so minutes until the movie just sort of ends.